And hello, we're live.
Hi. Hi, Jennifer. I'm so excited to meet you in person.
Hi, thank you so much. Thank you so much for asking me to do this.
Of course. Of course. I'm so excited. I met you online through Twitter and the fun Twitter chats for educators, which you guys have such a great network. Can you tell me a little bit about your network that you have online and where that takes you?
Well, Twitter is like, there's a lot of like little groups and all things like that. I think you're referring to one group though, particular, hashtag crazy PLN.
Yes. Tell me.
Yeah. Okay. So they're an awesome group of people. And the first person that comes to mind is Dave Hennel. And if I start to say everyone's name, I'm going to forget one person and I'm going to be like so sad. But David Hennel kind of like leads us to, keeps us on track. And I believe he's the one that started it. It might have been maybe a year and a half ago. Okay. And I know that my book wasn't even out yet. And I just remember talking about that process. And I had a little bit of a podcast going. And the people in the group, what they have in common is that they really, really are there in the education world for the kids. And we call it crazy PLN because that is actually an attempt to normalize the crazy. Like really, like all of us, we all have something that's like maybe not quite right, but it's like, it's not making fun of mental illness. It's more of normalizing the term and admitting it, like giving into it, like embracing that we're all different. We have all of these different issues and things, and we work on them. And one thing about the group Crazy PLN, and we do a lot of between Google Documents and for the real work, and then the direct message on big group chats. A big part of it is that we are there for each other. Like you won't talk to them for days, because everyone's busy, and then you'll come in and be like, hey, this is going on and I need help. And then like in 3 minutes, you got like all these people like helping you. So there's like that personal connection, but then there's the public and educational connection where we want to put good stuff out there for people and mostly be there for people. Kind of like when you're in education, a lot of times, especially classroom teachers, and then also I'm noticing administrators, you're alone because you're alone. You're in the classroom, you're working so hard for the children and their families, but even if you have like people to collaborate, teachers next door and that person next door, and even if you have like resource people that are in your room working with you, you really are alone. Your job in front of you is yours alone, and it's a lot to take on. And you don't even have for me in my classroom, in my job, in my school, I'm not going into the lunchroom and I'm not having these big conversations and I'm not doing this chit chat and that chat. I'm not, because my head is so focused on what I have to do next. And it's not like I don't want to be social and socialized, but work, there's too much going on that I need to take care of. So, but you need people, right? But you need people who are on your page, who see things the same way, who are not going to be like, the negativity, who are not going to be complaining, who aren't going to like entertain that gossip that goes on so much with people. So you need people that like, they're with you. They're not with you, but like they're doing your thing and they get it, Your
support system. There's such a great support system online is what I've noticed in the teacher groups, even across the board, such a great support system. Tim, I see you.
I put my hand off.
Yeah, I see you, Tim.
I'm always like holding, because Christelle was the enthusiastic one who got rushes, and I'm like, so what does PLN stand for? That's what I've been thinking in my mind, all this conversation's going on.
Oh, that's so funny. Professional learning network, right?
Okay,
right?
Yeah.
Funny.
So I suppose
there's a lot of,
yeah. Let's start with the next obvious question that we kind of missed out on. Like, what do you do in the education space? We know you're in the education space, and you're really enthusiastic, and your enthusiasm is just like, hey. But what do you do to a day-to-day basis? And I know you've got a book out, so if you could just briefly talk about that for people who are coming in and like, who's this enthusiastic woman?
Okay.
Like what do you do on a day-to-day basis, and what's your book about?
Okay, so I am a second grade teacher in the city of Providence, and I've actually been working in the city of Providence for 24 years.
Ooh.
My first 22 years, I taught kindergarten.
Yeah.
And this past 2 years, I've had a second grade classroom. So within that, within those 24 years, a lot of it has changed. A lot of education has changed. Things have come away from even letting children play, and there's so many reforms here and there. Through the years, I've always kept up with research. I've always kept up with you try to like change according to what they expect from you, but I always kept up with what's really right for the children, I feel. I also I'm a Donors Choose National Ambassador, which is a wonderful, wonderful organization that I'm able to connect classrooms and teachers in need with people and donors who want to help. And I do a lot of work with people like Craig Newmark and people out there that are really supportive of the educational process. So so that's the main job, is like teacher, classroom teacher in Providence. But through the years, all through this too, I've also had a blog, mommyteacherfashionista.com. So that started off as this little like thing on Instagram where I was, so years ago, I was on no social media, okay? Nothing at all. But then when I came to one of my schools in Providence, they didn't have a PTO at all. And I really felt bad because where my kids went to school, they had this awesome PTO and so many things were happening and I loved what was going on. But then I always felt bad because my own school and those kids and families didn't have one. So long story short, I started it along with another parent who was my co-president. And then we had co-vice presidents, we co-treasurers. I researched like crazy. I remember like over one of the long weekend vacations, I was like, all I was doing was at the kitchen table researching how do we have a PTO. And I wrote bylaws and I got involved with PTO Today, the magazine. So with that, I needed to be on Twitter. So my first experience with social media at all, and I'm telling you, I didn't even have an iPhone or a phone or like whatever people used. I was just like nothing. I'm just like living my life at home. I don't know what's going on all of these apps. I didn't even know what an app was, right? So I had to go on Twitter for PTO Today. Quickly after that, I discovered this little app called Instagram and I signed up. My first picture was just like I was at my mom's house and she was grilling lobsters on the grill. And I was like, oh, what a nice picture. And I was putting pictures from my classroom, like things I was doing over the summer because it was in June. Things I was doing over the summer to get ready for my kindergarten. I was putting my kids because my kids were little and they like didn't mind if I was taking their pictures. And it wasn't like a big struggle. It was just like cute things. But then on Instagram, I realized like you could follow people, like you could meet people from all over the world and teachers. And quickly after that, I discovered teachers were taking pictures of themselves like in their mirrors of their outfits. Okay, so something about me separate from teaching, but it makes sense because of the blog, is that since I was a little girl, like 1 year old, I had to be dressed up. Like I needed the lacy socks and the patent leather shoes and a dress, or just don't even like nothing, like, right? So my mom tells that story, like I'd be at the beach in my little dress and socks and shoes. I always like to dress up. So I see these people on Instagram, right? And they're all dressed up and taking their picture. And I was like, oh, how nice. And so then one day I did it. And then like every day I was like, here's my outfit, right? Just in my mirror.
Hashtag teacher of the day, right?
It was outfit of the day, teacher outfit of the day, teacher inspiration, what the teacher wears, right? Yep. So I had all the hashtags. Yes. But here's the thing, very quickly, companies started contacting me. My numbers grew and I don't know, I just got like a lot of people following me either for the teaching or the fashion or for the mommy stuff. So I got a lot of companies calling me and saying, if I send you this, will you wear it on your Instagram? And of course, I'm like, of course I will. First, it was one dress, then it was a necklace, then it was like years went by until maybe 2 years ago, it was like boxes outside my door every day between the makeup, the perfume, the watches, the everything, the flower companies. It was fun, right? So it was fun. And I would do it on the blog and it was like a fun extra thing outside of teaching, but it got to be too much. And I was like, I have this platform and I'm using it like to sell dresses, which is not so bad. I actually just posted a dress today, like that red dress in the picture was sent to me from Shein to promote it. And it's a fine collaboration. I love the company, but I wanted to do more with the people that I had, the audience that I had in front of me. And also, I had a larger audience. I had 70,000 followers until I got hacked and extorted. And it was a really big, big deal. And I did call the police and I did report it and all that, but I didn't try to access that one because by the time I could, it was already so like,
yeah.
And I got my name. I got the Mommy Teacher Fashionista name back. So I started new. So this account I have now is not large, but it's decent enough that companies still like Shein still just is sending me things and people like email me and ask me. But the point is I took a backstage. I'm like, I want to spend, if I have this audience, I can promote other things. I can promote educational ideas. My heart is right now where I want to move forward in what I'm doing with the children. So I was doing kindergarten for so long and I knew I needed a change. When I decided to move to second grade, I did a lot more like kind of like self work, like how do I want to be as a teacher? Like, how am I going to approach this new role? Like, it might seem like a little thing going from kindergarten to second grade, but for me, I took it like my life was changing. And I did so much research about flexible seating and discipline and everything in STEM and all of this. And I ended up going back to like my roots, like when I was in college, like, what did I want to be as a teacher then? But so much stuff that like, I was like, my mindset was just so like I wanted to share what I was learning, but like not everyone was like me, like changing grade levels and excited about teaching and like it's a whole new world, but I wanted to share anyway. And that's where the idea of the book came in. So I had this idea in my head of a curriculum that would allow children to let the social emotional needs first, right? And allow them to think and be creative and use their critical thinking skills and be nice people, right? Like keeping that first and the academics there, but not as just let's just learn these skills and facts and get ready to take a test. How about like let's be good people and be here for each other? And I wanted to form a caring community. So the book Educate the Heart is the book Educate the Heart is truly a work of heart. I always say no, but it is truly what I went back and researched, like sound research, but then also what I internalized. I really felt that a classroom should be, what a curriculum should be, not just that, but what a school should be, how a school should function. Like from the way that the children talk, for the way that homework is handled, the way that discipline is handled, for the way that you interact with the community. So it says 180 activities, but that's just because it's divided into 12 chapters, and each of those 12 chapters has 15 main ideas. So it's 180 altogether. So that's how the book came about. And my blog, so the book came about that because I'm used to writing. And to backtrack, I'm so sorry. But to backtrack, so my blog was it started off as a fashion blog because of all the collaborations and things I did as an influencer on Instagram. But then little by little, I'd be like, I have this blog. I don't have to write about clothes. And I'd write about teaching things or school things or whatever, my kids. Now I feel my blog is like really me. Because sometimes, like last week, I did a big blog post with my friend Pam. I asked her to contribute, and we took books that we felt would be purposeful for helping children and helping ourselves to become anti-racist. And we came up with 10 books and activities to go with every book so that parents could have those conversations. And that was we spent a weekend on that. And that was really a lot of research, the two of us. Now this week, it was a fashion post again because I got sent some clothes and I wanted to do like a light kind of like a happy summer thing. But what I like about it is it's a voice where I can share ideas. The one before that was about a seminar of my first webinar that I ever did with EdChat Interactive and a friend of mine, Mitch, who I met through Facebook. And that's another whole connection of people on Facebook between the different private groups. I'm in a group called Distance Learning Group, and my friend Christopher O'Brien and he's the administrator really, and I help him out with it. But through that, we met another person called Mitch, and Mitch has EdChat Interactive, and he asked me to do a webinar, and I did. And it was so exciting because I got to talk about what I had done during distance learning, which was a lot about establishing connections with families, with the children, keeping the learning authentic. So what happened? So right now, what happened was like horrible, like March 13th, no more school. What's going on? I'm telling you, like, I didn't even shop. I wasn't even ready. I was just like, I think I'll get like double of what I get at Target usually today, because we don't have school for a couple of weeks. And it turned into this, like we never went back to school. But also important is that this book is screen free, because I am very against I shouldn't say this now, but I was very much like against like the whole like everybody on devices. Like it drives me like up a wall. Like you go to dinner and like people are like on phones. Like I don't care what other people do, but like I can't, like, if I'm gonna do something, you're gonna do it, and like not, but you see it all the time. Even like in the schoolyard, people are coming to pick up their kids and they're on their phone, and then their kids are like walking with them. And I don't say it to be judgmental. I just say it is what I noticed. I just noticed that nowadays people are on the go, and many times on devices. So I wanted the book to have things that were screen free. Now, saying that, I was in the classroom, kindergarten and second grade. I very, very, very really used tech. We had Chromebooks that were one-on-one, but I got to tell you, I liked the kids doing things, talking to each other, being with each other, right? But I believe that there should be a balance. I believe that more now that I got thrown into distance learning and I had to all of a sudden have a Google Classroom. I was like literally like Googling, how do you have a Google Classroom? I was like, I don't know. Like, and I was like sitting at home one night. I'm like, I think I need a Google Classroom, because we all need Google Classrooms. Even though my kids didn't take home devices, now the principal says the kids are taking home devices. So I think I need one. And I was like, I literally did it on my phone one night. Like I was in bed and I'm just like, it was like 8:30, 9 o'clock. I'm like, now I have a Google Classroom. And it was like 2 days later, I had to start. So from that, it worked. Okay. So doing the webinar with Mitch, who was so like unbelievable, wonderful, and patient with me, because I had never done a webinar before. And I was just like, I'm not techie, but that was a great experience because I got to share, positivity, how you can make it work. You can make any situation, you can make it work if you just care and you try your best. And I showed I had like 146 slides, and it was exciting to do that. So you're talking about like professional networks on Twitter, but then there's others like on Facebook and in different groups. I have a group, Educate the Heart Collective, which was just Educate the Heart. But recently, not too recently, but two friends of mine, recently we joined together, Pam Cavito and Lisa Caprelli. And so we have the group together, Educate the Heart Collective. And now I'm really happy about it because now I feel it's what I always wanted it to be. But I wasn't good at doing it alone. It's better. You have more minds thinking, more people working, more people like cheering you on, cheering each other on. So now I like that group a lot because I feel like it's fun, but it's for a good cause, which is to build strong children. And I think you need that. Like I said, going from before, like you're alone. You can't, you need people, right?
Absolutely. I love so much of what you said about education. And I kind of caught you're doing so many different things. One, you have your amazing blog, which I did take a look at, and I saw resources. We'll make sure we ask you about where to find you later. I saw incredible resources there for both parents and teachers, and of course the fashion side of it. Your book and your connections with teachers, and of course the classroom. I kind of want to get into right now the current climate. Are you still teaching online?
So our last day was Thursday. Yep, our last day was Thursday. That was my birthday too. And so that ended. So it feels kind of weird now to be like home and not like have all these little people in my screen for the Zooms and all of that. So it just ended, the distance learning. But we did it from March. Maybe it was like March 22nd up until June 18th. We did it every day.
How was that experience with the children? I have a son too who was learning online, and I could hear the children chatting in the background, the teacher maintaining control as much as she could. How was that experience for you with the students?
Yeah. So
right now.
Yeah, it was. So, it was a good experience to be with them, because what was the alternative? The alternative was to not see each other, right?
Mhm.
So what I did was, when school closed on March 13th, that was the Friday, I didn't think that my kids were going to take home devices, because they said we're not the second graders are not taking home devices. So I was like, how am I gonna do this? Like, and they're saying to send home work packets. It's like, what is that? Like, I don't do that, like, worksheet kind of teaching. But so what I did was, very quickly, I formed a Facebook group. I formed a
Mhm.
Facebook private group for the families.
Okay.
And so the families most of them were on there, not like every single one, but the ones that were not, I connected with in other ways, either by just texting, by email, different ways. Like, I have a lot of different, we do Kinvo, I was connected to each parent in some way. But most of them, the majority of them, did join the private Facebook group. So we started with just like, hey, we don't know how it's going to work, and how you all doing? Like, how's it going? And the people the parents and the kid were very active, and they're showing pictures of what they're doing at home. And I'm showing pictures of like what my kids are doing home, because I do have a 10-year-old and a 14-year-old. So I wasn't showing so much the 14-year-old, because like it's not allowed. But my son, I'd be like showing what he's doing. He made a game about saving the earth, and like we're building with our Legos. So having that, okay, first of all, the people were right there for me, the parents, and I was right there for them. When we found out that, yes, they were going to go get their Chromebooks and we were going to have a Google Classroom, and I figured out what that meant. So that following Monday, it began. Now, like, it wasn't always like, wow, this is so awesome and fun, and now we're learning online. No, it was a lot of like, this is so sad. I miss everybody so much. These are my babies. Where's my classroom? I have this beautiful classroom that these kids, I worked hard so these kids could have these things, the calm corner and the animal, veterinarian center and the puppet theater. And so that they could work together collaboratively. I had just gotten a Donors Choose project funded with tables for my room. I took out every single classroom desk, and I put whiteboard tables so that they could write on the tables, and so that they could work together, so that they weren't like on little islands, and they, kids in those ages, they become territorial. And I wanted it to be collaborative workspace. I just got that going. It was working beautifully. We have a beautiful maker space. Like, so much of that was like, the kids are just like, I want to go to school. Like they're literally like, I want to go to school, and they're lingering in the classroom, and they're like constantly like commenting and messaging me like at night, on the weekends, all the day, like they miss school. And it's like, what do you do? Like, what do you do? But you just keep on going. So really, that's what you keep on going. So I went I tried every single possible thing I could do, first of all, to get them there consistently in the classroom, calling parents, this and that, calling brothers, calling sisters, explaining how the Google documents worked, how to submit the work, how to make the copies. I had parents on Zooms, like we had our own parent Zooms with just the parents. We had mini Zooms. I got a pet turtle. I didn't get a pet. I don't even know what I got. I got a tadpole that I got a tadpole so that we could have a pet, and they watched him online. Like, I was doing just like everything I could think of to do to keep them engaged and to keep it fun. So I could wake up in the morning and be like happy to come down to my basement. And that's where I am now. This is my basement. This is where I've done, and I had my charts hanging. Our calming strategies were on the wall. Our affirmations are on the wall. And of course, that was more for me. So I could feel like I'm in a classroom and I'm doing these things, and I can refer to them. And it's still up. We said this every day, confidence. If you believe in yourself, great things happen. Today is a new day. I will have a great start. I will listen to the voice inside my heart. I will let good thoughts inside my mind and tell myself, I am brave, I am loving, I am kind. So we said that every day, and we had calming strategies. And along with that, I've worked with parents so that we could establish wellness plans. So what that was about is that children would come up with things that made them happy and comforted them, and then came up with things that didn't make them happy and gave them anxiety, and they matched them up. So that, for example, if this is happening and I'm in my house and I'm tired and I can't see my friends and my brother's bothering me, what can I do that's on my wellness plan to help with that? So I worked a lot on the social emotional aspect of it so that the kids could actually be like in a good state of mind to come to the screen and learn. And we did learn. We did chapter books. We did science topics. We did every like math lesson that we had to do for second grade. My son actually, he's going into the 5th grade. So he actually came every morning with me, and before school began, he taped the math lesson. So we would go over the concept. We would look online on like Zern and all the different Eureka math, whatever the lesson was. We talk about it, we do it, and then me and him, we would do it together. And then it ended up being a lot like just him to explain the concept. And my kids look forward to that because it's like they know my son William. You know, and they would say to me, I love math. We love William. He's so funny. And my son would come with puppets. So it was like he was like their little friend teaching them math. And that was also nice for me and my son because during the distance learning, he had his own work to do. And honestly, like I was glued. I was here for my kids and for my families. And William was in like the living room upstairs on his Google Classroom. And sometimes he'd come down and be like, Mommy, I need help with this, Mommy, this. And a lot of times I'm like, well, I'm teaching. Of course, I would help him, right? And then I'd get emails from his teachers being like, William needs his music assignment by such. And I'm just like, what do you mean? That was like my stress. It's like, no, you don't need that. Right now, I've got kids in front of me. So like, I needed help in that area. Like, the balance, but it was so anyway, so it was good for me and William to have that making math lessons and stuff like that together because I felt like, you know, it was, I had to be a little bit of a neglectful mom when I was teaching them online all day and my kids had their own stuff going on in their own classrooms. So
I think every we have Tim Stone on with us right now, and he's one of our friends that watches a lot. And he was saying his wife is a teacher, and they both take turns teaching their children at home. And I found that very common. That's very common right now. Parents are taking turns teaching their children, or they're trying to balance.
So my husband is a gym teacher. He teaches gym and health. And he works at an elementary school that's actually preschool to grade 4. And he has a lot of special needs children that he teaches. So he was upstairs too. So I was the only one down here in the basement, but he was up in the kitchen. And that's the thing too, is that, and my daughter, she's 14, so she can handle her own stuff. But the thing is when he had kids, his job was even more intense because he didn't have kids like the same kids all day like me, where I could be like, okay, you could go do that now. But he had different kids coming in all the time, and a lot of them with special needs. And that's really hard to teach physical education and health to like preschool kids with special needs unless you're like actually there. So like he was glued too. So like this whole entire family was just like inside Zooms and all of that, making it work. But we made it work.
I love that. I have a question for you too. Some parents are going to be continuing to homeschool in the coming year. Do you have tips for parents who are now homeschooling, but also the teachers will be having a voice in the classroom as well? So, for example, our school district is giving our children the choice to either go back to the classroom or distance learning at home. What tips do you have for parents who are now moving into this new area of working with the teacher, collaborating with the teacher online, and trying to keep their children motivated online? What did you learn during this crisis, and what are the tips that parents can take from this?
Okay, so first of all, I would have to say, from talking to so many of all of the moms and the dads and the brothers and the sisters of the children in my classroom, the same things kept coming up all the time. Is like, the kids they get burnt out when you're constantly telling them do this and do that, and now it's time for this. Like, first of all, like I get it that you want to homeschool, and I think it's wonderful and awesome. And I'm a very, very, very big, I know a lot of people that do it successfully. And actually the book was also written, Educate the Heart was also written for parents who are homeschooling. And I feel that the best thing that you can do is just remember that you are their parent. Even though you're homeschooling them, you're their parent, and you got to treat them like they're the kid that you love first, before you're trying to like get stuff out of them and make them productive. Let them be kids. Let them work at their own pace. Give them choices. The same things that I would say to a teacher who is teaching, whether it's in a classroom or online, I would say to the parent. And is that you have to go from where they're at. First of all, if they're reading at a certain level and you know this, and you should know this, don't all of a sudden like get frustrated and wonder why they're not reading this other chapter book that, you know, Sally down the street is reading, you know. Let them be where they're at. I always say this, and people actually make fun of me when I say this, but childhood is a journey and not a race. I say it so much, and I say it a lot, I have to say, in defense of my own son, because he's great. He's going into the 5th grade and he hasn't ever had any issues academically, but he tends to be a little bit on the young side. Like, he's still like mommy, and he's got his Winnie the Pooh blankie and all of that. And he likes the baby part of being, you know, and he likes to do things that other people might be like, oh, like you're too big for that. Like he'll take out his play food, or he'll want to cook, right? And I'll be like, what do you mean he's too big for that? He's a kid, right? Like he's using his imagination. So I just let them be themselves. Let them do their thing and give them as many possible choices as you can. And always remember that it's about your child, it's not about where they should be, like what 3rd grader in the 3rd month of school should be, because they're going to give you that. You have all that data. Like I know in a lot of the tests that we take, the standardized test, it will show the kids. For example, there's one test called the STAR test. It will be like, okay, your child is functioning on 2nd grade month 3 on their math STAR test. Your child is functioning grade 1, 8th month on their STAR reading test. Okay, that's great. Who cares? Like what? Point is what do they learn? What do they know right now? And how can you use what they know right now and then build upon that so that they can gain knowledge and grow? You know, if they can write one sentence, that's great. Help them to make the best one sentence in the world, right? A sentence that something about what they want to learn about. There's so many hands-on things that you can do with your children, and that's what the book is. So that's exactly what the book is hands-on math problems, so that you're not just giving them a page of math problems. They don't need a page of math problems. They need to know the concept, and you can teach it to them with stories, with projects, with hands-on things that you have around the house. STEM projects are great because you're using everything. You're using math, you're using science, you're using critical thinking skills. And I'm big on STEM. I'm big on that always at home. Before distance learning came last summer, my son and I, and it's on the blog actually, we did lots of STEM challenges. And I liked that because it got him like playing, like he was able to play, to do the stuff, but it got his mind thinking in a critical thinking way. So you're trying to solve, like, how is that teddy bear going to get out of the well? Or how are we going to make a house that will not get wet when we pour water on it? Things like that, so that they're playing, but they're learning.
And everything is a learning experience. We can turn, if we're cooking in the kitchen, we can turn it into a learning experience. If our child likes certain animals, we can turn that into a math problem, or a reading challenge, or history. I mean, everything is a learning experience. And I love that you've written all of this out in your book. I saw Tim kind of shaking his head. Tim, did you have a question for?
I wasn't shaking my head. I was nodding actually. I did. I've got a wide ranging question. So if you've got any less wide ranging questions, you can ask that before.
I would like to hear your question, Tim.
Well, you know, I have a habit of asking these sort of questions. So let's say that for whatever reason you were suddenly put in charge of the US education system. Like there's some sort of weird event tomorrow that puts you in charge. What are the things that you would most like to change about the way children are educated in the US or generally? And what are the things that you think are good but need enhancing? If that makes any sense.
Okay, so that would be so exciting. That's so funny. That's so funny that you should say that, because I'm sure that might really happen tomorrow. But I was actually that will lead into something else that actually reminds me of something else that I could talk about. I'll say, but first of all, I strongly believe that social emotional awareness, social emotional learning should be at the forefront. I believe that children need time to focus. They need to learn at their own pace. I strongly believe in a Montessori approach, but with a little bit more structure than Montessori. I think what's good is that I do think that there's a lot good out there. I think there's a lot of people that are working and they're doing project-based education. And I think that that's wonderful. The project-based learning is great. I also think that right now there's a lot more student agency, and students are able to speak, and people are learning from the students, and they're getting more freedom in what they do. I would keep all of that. I would keep that. And I don't want to say I want to get rid of standardized testing. I really don't, even though I know like that's a big hot topic right now, and they got rid of them for distance learning, and people are like, yay, maybe that will be from now on. But I also believe that it's not standardized testing is not a bad thing. I think it's all about how it's used. I do believe that we need tests. I believe we need standardized tests, but I believe it's what you do with the data that matters. And if you're doing a test, whether I'm doing a formative test, a summative test, whatever I'm doing, a big standardized test, if I'm using the data in a practical way, so I can take what the children know and build upon it, and also making sure that the test is actually not just some like nonsense that a kid. I don't believe in putting a kid in front of a computer and letting them press keys and being like, oh, they fit, now this is their level. No, I believe in authentic assessment, and I believe in using the data effectively, not as a competitive thing. We're like, oh, well, this person scored this and this person scored this, so what's wrong with this person? So I just believe it should be used to help the children. I believe there should be more done for special education, because from where I just see so much of things falling under the cracks, and things not being addressed, and people not knowing enough about important things such as dyslexia, and more trauma-informed education. I feel we need social workers, but I feel like a social worker's job needs to be a more defined role, and they should have more access to get right in there and be right there with us teachers. Because right now I feel like I am the social worker, although I don't have the credentials.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that should be a bigger part, a bigger focus. That's just like off the top of my, if I was in charge of like education. Right now, where I'm at after teaching for so many years, I've really been reflective of my own teaching practices, but I've also made some valuable connections with administrators and leaders in the industry. And after this whole distance learning and doing the webinar and seeing what's really going on and having the time to actually research what is going on and what could be possible, even after I wrote the book, like this is what I thought could be possible in a classroom. But what I see in the world, like the vision that I have, I would like to be a principal. So I'm starting my master's in administration soon. So I'm really, really excited about that. So I'm not going to be probably like the head of education in the United States, but someday I'm going to be a principal. So I'm excited. Yeah.
I love that.
I just turned 47, so I'm thinking maybe like by the time I'm 50. So
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Jennifer, before we came on live, I saw something behind your head, and I want to ask you about this because it made me really, really excited. I saw a rainbow behind your head, and I asked you, what is the rainbow? Why do you have it? And you started telling me some really cool stories about hope and collaboration. Can you tell us, go back to the rainbow? Why do you have it?
So this is my rainbow, and it's called a rainbow of hope. So So hope is a big deal for me. Like I heard the term once, like ambassador of hope. And I said that to my friend and I was like, I love that I feel like that's like what I want to do. And my friend was like, yeah, you actually are that. That should be like your tagline when you write your next book. Like, cause I think I put like on this book, something about like believer in kindness and positivity. That's what you should put. You are an ambassador of hope. So my friend Christopher O'Brien said that. So hope is like, just for me, it's like, in everything that you do, in everything that we teach children, like you need to have hope. Like without hope, like what do you have if you can't like wake up and look forward to something, right? Mm-hmm. So when I told you earlier, I have Lisa Caprelli, who's the creator of the Unicorn Jazz series, and Pam Quavito, who is a teacher in California. And they have joined on with my Educate the Heart group. And now we are all together, Educate the Heart Collaborative. No, we're not. Educate the Heart Collective. I'm sorry. That's our group. So Pam was talking one day when we were in the midst of all this, and we were starting with our jazz talks, which was, we were first calling the group like Sparkles of Hope, because hope is so, that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to be like Sparkles of Hope and have these jazz talks, which is part of the Unicorn Jazz Show, with children, so that we could have children, give children a voice to inspire other children. Right. Mm-hmm. So we came up with the name Sparkles of Hope, but then we were like, we're kind of too old for that. Like we're grown-ups. We're not sparkles, but it is for the point of giving hope. Right. Okay. So Pam saw this online, this rainbow of hope. It was all over Facebook and Instagram. She's like, look what I just bought. It's a rainbow of hope. Isn't this so perfect? I'm going to put it in my home office. And then right then and there, I'm like, I need one too. So I ordered it, and my Rainbow of Hope, and it actually arrived on Thursday on my birthday. So I was so excited. And so it's just like, I like what it symbolizes, and it's just like cute because Pam has it too in her office, and we work so closely together. We were actually working all morning on our next post that we're doing. She has a separate, in my blog, she created a character, which is a separate part of the blog. So I have my blog, and then there's a page called Bordeloo. And Bordeloo is a character that she created, but me and her, we work together to develop activities and lessons to go along with that character as separate from the blog, so that when teachers and parents want a resource, a worksheet, or something, an activity that they can grab right away, they go right to that section.
Where can parents find the resources that you're talking about right now? What are you calling it now? Unicorns?
Well, first of all, the blog is mommyteacherfashionista.com. Okay. And everything is there. So if you go on there and then you go to like the pages, you see there's my blog, which has all my blog posts. And then it's like about, which is just nothing, just like about me, nothing. But then you see another page called Bordeloo. And when you click on, so Bordeloo is a separate page, but part of my website. So it's actually Mommy Teacher Fashionista / Bordeloo. Okay. And so in the past couple of weeks, we just got together. We broke it down to perseverance, growth mindset, acceptance, and we're making things that so people can grab them right away. Read this book, do this activity. Parents at home, teachers in the classroom. It's a cute little character, but meaningful ideas and lessons. We're different from the big blog, which is so much involved. And like, I've got blogs with like so many resources within each link. It's like, it's a lot. So this is a quick, like shorter version of like just quick little things to grab.
And a great resource. So this is where parents can go and teachers can go to get the resources that you've done collaboratively with other teachers. That's neat. I love that. Yay.
Thank you. And it's all on a lot of the things that we do. I show on my Instagram page, and we have an Instagram page for the group Educate the Heart Collective. But on my Instagram, on my Instagram page, on that main page is where I share mostly like everything that I do, even like day to day, just like whatever stuff is there. So alert people that there's something new on the blog. And I have a link tree that's attached to that profile on my Instagram and on my Twitter. So if you go on the link tree, there's like the links are there. It's easy to find me. I mean, if you just do a Google search on my name, like a lot of stuff comes up.
all of your resources. I think right now, especially right now with parents homeschooling or looking at possibly homeschooling, needing to find that teacher collective if they don't already have it. There's so many resources that you're offering together.
Well, yeah. I didn't know the book was gonna be such a big thing right now. And as it is right now, I didn't know that it was gonna be such a valuable resource. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I want to go
excited about the engagement on the blog and the book, the attention.
I want to go back into your book because I want to make sure the book, and Tim may have questions too. Tim is a published author and he runs called Indie Author Chat. I think he's probably going to have questions about your book.
Yeah.
Specifically, can you read some of the chapters off us that we can find in your book?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So it was published by Rowman and Littlefield, and they have extensive information on it as well as my Instagram. But I could absolutely read you Chapter 1, Promoting Peace: 15 Ways to Empower Students to Handle Conflict Through Kindness. Chapter 2, Empower Your Students with a Collaborative Workspace, Implementing Flexible Seating Options. Chapter 3, Let's Talk About Math: 15 literature space opportunities for respectful and effective mathematical discourse. Collaborative and meaningful literacy centers: 15 opportunities for students to extend their learning in creative and challenging ways. And each of those literacy centers actually has lots and lots and lots of resources within them. And I actually use that a lot, even at home, like with my kids. You want them reading and writing, so I give them different creative ideas to do. Adding flavor: easy classroom recipes that build community and teach essential skills. And those are all things that I've done in the classroom and also at home with my kids. STEM education: collaborative group activities to inspire critical thinking skills, communication, and creativity. The power of the author study: 15 shared reading experiences to encourage communication and build critical thinking skills in your classroom. Self-expression through innovative art integration: 15 worthwhile collaborative projects to inspire creativity in your units of study. And these are all adaptive to no matter whatever your unit of study is. Chapter 9, Let Them Move: 15 ways to improve physical fitness, support academic concepts, and increase authentic learning. Chapter 10 is my favorite. It's about discipline. Lose the clip chart, color changer, and sticker chart: 15 ways to build community with a growth mindset approach to discipline. Chapter 11, Homework: Make it meaningful: 15 ways to keep kids engaged and encourage authentic learning at home. And I don't believe in traditional homework at all. And I explain that in the chapter. And I give several alternative ways to do it. And Chapter 12, The Communities Beyond Your Classroom Community: 15 ways to build relationships that support meaningful learning. Those are the chapters.
Okay. Well, I guess we've got to ask about the homework thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Why don't you think traditional homework works, and what should be in its place?
Yeah. So I don't believe in traditional homework. I believe that, first of all, when you're giving traditional homework, first of all, most of the time it's meaningless. It's like study these spelling words, do these 500 math problems. Working in the inner city of Providence, kids are not at an even, they don't have what they need, the proper space, the proper anything to get it done. Okay. So you're giving them an uneven and unfair right there with the homework. Second of all, I find it to be, they're in school all day and they're kids. I believe in family time. I believe people should be having dinner, relaxing, getting to know their brothers and sisters, being themselves, explore other things that they're interested. You should not be in school all day paying attention, and then let me take this out and now I got to pay attention to this. Like, what did you do in school all day? I've said that too when I've the day, usually my son has to go to my daughter has to go to aftercare because my school day is so long and their school day is so short because they go to a private school. But sometimes when they've been home doing their homework, I'm like, what? Look, why are you still doing this? You were in school all day. Like, can we have it? It's too much, right? But I do believe like kids, should be reading every day in school and of course read at home, right? But read what you want to read, like it's a pleasurable thing. And I'm not going to go in and like make every family all of a sudden become readers and want their kids to read and go to the library every weekend. Like that's everyone's business. In school, I make sure they're reading every day independently and they're reading what they want to read at some time during the day. That's my job. Like that's what I do. At home, they have families. Like that's their prerogative. And I don't want to say like, oh, well, it's not my job. I don't want to say it like that. But I say it in a respectful way. Like, I'm not going to intrude on their family time and give them, oh, you must do this and you must do that. I will always give advice when asked, like your child, like I do believe really like maybe if they went to bed at this certain time, they would not be tired the next day, like that kind of a thing. But the parents that I've always taught, excuse me, they're wonderful people. They're doing their best. They're trying hard. They've got other kids. Right? I'm not going to tell them as a classroom teacher what you're going to do at home with this child that is your own child, right? However, I do believe that you should give parents opportunities and children and families, opportunities for them to continue their learning at home. And this can be done in many ways. So what I explain in this book, in the homework chapter, are alternative ways. They are not to be done like, excuse me, they're not to be done like with homework. Like I'm not saying send home the chapter, send home the, no. This is an alternative, and it's also optional. I feel like I'm choking right now. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I was talking so fast for like so long. All right. I don't want to just like die on you, like pass out. So, all right. Where are my homework stuff? Okay. So for example, and I found that these to be very, very useful during the distance learning because they're open-ended projects and they encourage children to learn. A lot of the times, okay, homework, make it meaningful. All right. So motivation is the key to authentic learning. I'm reading from my book right now. Okay. Great teachers cater to the individual interest, natural curiosity, and personal desires of students with effective strategies to inspire students, increase growth, learning, and overall well-being. Okay. So this is the homework chapter. It should never be busy work, punishment, or a way for students to teach themselves. And I've seen that happen a lot where you're like, teachers are like, I shouldn't say teachers are like, I mean, maybe sometimes you're thinking like this child isn't getting it, keep practicing. But you're asking the parents to like teach the kids. Okay. So do it in a way in the classroom to help them to understand if they're not getting it the way you're teaching it, change the way you're doing it. Basically, do not assign it as homework that they don't get it. They don't understand. Right. So the homework ideas I put here can be adapted to accommodate any grade level. I'm going to tell you. So example, all right, game creation. All right. And I had my own son do this during distance learning. So they can choose a topic and create a game board on important facts or concepts about the topic. It could be a board game, athletic game, card game, or any type of game they can think of. Younger students could create an alphabet card game. Older students could make a board game in which students answer questions about the United States. We did one at home about saving the earth. So my son came up with 10 facts that were important to remember and how to save the earth. And he put them and he made like a Candyland game. And you had to move along like that and make sure you were like hitting each of the 10 things. So it was, a recipe innovation was here. So you can take a basic recipe and change one part of it to make unique. Like you were saying, like cooking at home, things like that. So there are many, they can explain the tools they used, how they measured, discuss was the end result as they expected, give your family a survey or did you like it? These are ways that they can continue to learn at home without getting assigned worksheets and projects and papers. It should be more than just, okay, well, if you're into like say dinosaurs, research dinosaurs, they need more than that. They need questions to answer, what to look for. They need that like audience waiting for it, students community helper spotlight. They can think about helpers in the community and choose one to interview. Now, I wouldn't assign that because that's not practical for every family to be able to do that or want to do that, but they could, if they want to continue their learning and they want this idea, create their own questions, explain to the class why they chose the person, how he or she benefits the community. And I know this goes on as an assigned thing, but what I'm saying that these things shouldn't be assigned. You can't assign something to a family. You have your and in the class. You need to be respectful. Like I did all that. Like I've done all that. Like I made my President George Bush puppet for my son when he was in the 3rd grade. And I love that puppet. And I made the thing. And I was like, what did I get in this puppet? You know, like I like those projects. I take them over and I love them. And my son loves sitting there at the table being like, great job, mommy. But like not all moms appreciate it. Not all dads, not all grandparents, not all brothers and sisters, not families with 6 kids, not single moms with 7 kids. Like there's a lot of different situations. A grandparent with like taking care of kids will appreciate that their child has to go interview a community member. However, I'm saying providing these options, not mandatory if you want to. You know, give them lots of learning activities such as those to do at home. And they may seem like, oh, well, that's nothing. Oh, well, I do that. But no, it's really not. It's really not nothing. It really is something to the child that's assigned it. And and when you pay attention and give them feedback and you work with them on that, then it's really not nothing. Then it really is a big something.
Yeah, absolutely. Tim, did you have a?
No, I didn't. I was. I've never been a fan of homework, even when I did it. Yeah, and I haven't seen anybody really express it quite as well. Like it is. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit like people taking their normal jobs home with them. It's kind of that's not a good sign. So why are we expecting children to be like be given homework?
Yeah, and they need time to play, especially now when the school day doesn't allow for playing during the day.
Yeah.
And they need time just to like let them be themselves. Like we all need time to like, you know, like you're rushing around all day, like you're going to work, you're going here. Like you need time to just like be yourself and relax, right? And you're big, you're a grown up. Like imagine a kid, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We all have unwinding time.
Yes.
Time to, like you said, play, or maybe a walk or work out, or as a family too. So you made a really good point with children need that winding down time, need that time to play. They need that time to go out and throw the ball. And I hear you on this big time. Can you give parents hope who right now are saying, I just destroyed my child's education last 3 months. I hear this over and over and over. The fear of parents is they had to homeschool. They didn't choose this. They're having to, they're staying home with their kids, and they're so scared that they destroyed their children for the rest of their lives. And no, they didn't. Yeah. But you, as a teacher, Jennifer, can you give hope in that custody?
Yes. No, it's not possible. You have not destroyed your child's education. We're all, and I don't even want to say we're all in the same boat because everyone's been saying that for months now. But listen, kids everywhere, they were forced to be at home. We all did the best we could. I know we all did. We did the best we could. When they go back to the classroom and it gets to be like whatever normal is again, everyone will catch up. Teachers will be right there closing the gaps, and they will account for everything. Right now, no one is their best self. Like we're all like, no one is their best self right now, even now. First of all, it's still happening. We still have to wear masks everywhere we're going. Kids are not playing with their friends anymore. We're still actually going through this, even though the distance learning is over. It's a stressful time, no matter how hey, I share the positive. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy about the positive. And I think like in any situation, we can learn from it, and it is what you make of it. However, you cannot negate that this was a traumatic time for many, many people being out of work. Kids need their friends. Kids see their parents stressed. Kids don't want to see their friends on a Zoom screen. The anxieties that were there before are now more so. No matter what positive activity came out of this, we're still not even in recovery mode. Give yourself a break. Let yourself live. Have a wonderful, wonderful summer. And what happens in the fall happens in the fall. So maybe we'll be home again, doing it again, and we'll be screwing up like 500 math problems again. Because I know that was like the big issue, was like the Common Core math problems. And people are getting really stressed out. Luckily, I had my son, so he knew how to do it. But I just let it go. Like I would have to say, like, let it all go. Like I wasn't by my best self, like I was in the classroom, but like right now I'm not my best self. Like I'm not it's not the same because everything just all of a sudden changed. But I've done things to make it better, and I've made some good decisions, and like now I'm going to go to grad school and like life decisions, things like that I've made, but I'm still like, you know, we're all kind of just doing the best we can, right?
We're doing the best we can.
Yeah.
And it's a powerful statement, and everything is going to be okay.
Yep.
And there's hope. Your rainbow's a reminder of hope. So
Yes.
I want to go back. We always end with, and Tim may have another question too, or want to kind of wrap up some things, but I want to end with, again, where can we find you? And the name of your book, where can we find your book? That's so important. I love
this. Right, so I am Jennifer Lee Quattrucci. If you do a Google search, you're going to find everything, but I am Mommy Teacher Fashionista on Instagram. My blog is mommyteacherfashionista.com. On Twitter, I'm Jen Quattrucci. Facebook, Jennifer Lee Quattrucci, but I've got the page, Mommy Teacher Fashionista, and the group that I love so much, the private group, Educate the Heart Collective. The book is Educate the Heart, Screen-Free Activities for Grades Pre-K to 6 to Inspire Authentic Learning. It is everywhere books are sold. It was published by Roman Littlefield. It's on Amazon, but it's literally anywhere that sells books.
I love it. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you so much.
This is so fun to hear from you and to hear your enthusiasm for education. And I think you have good tips for parents and educators to learn from when we're kind of thinking, we've destroyed our children. No, we haven't. There's hope out there. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here.
You guys are so awesome. Thank you.
Right. I'm going to play the outro video now, and then I'm going to take us non-live. So prepare.